Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. This is Chuck. Tonight we are going to take a look at Nmap and Metasploit to do some scans on a network. So I have 4 virtuals that are up and running. Of course, I have my Kali virtual. I'm not running my 2016 version. I'm still running my 1.1 version. I have Ubuntu running in the back, XP Service Pack 3, and Windows 7, I believe Service Pack 1. And we're just going to look at 4 standard scans tonight. Just a regular Nmap scan, a stealth scan from Nmap, an aggressive scan from Nmap, and then we're going to use Metasploit to do an idle scan. So they're the 4 that we're going to take a look at. So we're going to jump right into this thing. We're going to do all this from the Kali terminal, and we will actually run, at the very end, we'll run an hping 3 flood on the XP box. Okay, so we're going to start with Nmap. Standard Nmap scan. Of course, it's just Nmap. Now, I already know my IP address range. If you don't know that, you're going to have to do a little bit of footprinting first to find the range of the network that you want to scan. But I already know my IP address range. Got back all of my IPs, and I'm going to hit a particular one. So it's 10.44.199. I know that's a machine in the network. I just don't know what type of machine. So I'm just going to run a regular Nmap scan on it. No switches. Well, when Nmap is going to return, I didn't tell it what ports to scan. So it's going to scan just the default ports. And it came back and let me know that 21 is open. So they are running FTP. They're running SMTP, HTTP, and HTTPS, as well as IIS. And I also have their MAC address that I can use later on for MAC spoofing. So just from this information, I already know it's a Windows box because they're running IIS. If it was a Linux box or a Unix box, they would be running Apache. Also, they do have, with IIS running, IIS is up and running because they're running an FTP service. So they do have an FTP site, which is why port 21 is open. So I've gleaned some decent information just from a regular scan. Now, this scan will show up in network monitoring tools such as Wireshark or Nessus. So you may want to be careful with running this type of scan. Your IP address will be detected. It will show up inside of Wireshark. Now, if you want to be more stealthy, you can run the same scan, but with a switch. The SS switch. It's for a stealth scan. And we're going to hit the same IP. But the stealth scan, of course, is, well, it's just that. It's more stealthy than your regular Nmap scan. We're going to get the same responses. But by running a stealth scan, we're not so easily detected. Now, there is another switch that you can run with the stealth scan. The PN switch. It basically just tells it not to ping. Don't send a standard ICMP request. Now we'll get back the same results. Sometimes you won't get the ports back, but it will tell you that it is up and running. Okay. So they're really your standard 2 scans, your regular scan and your stealth scan. But what if we want more information? Well, we can add another switch to it. Now, oops, you can run this with the stealth switch, but this switch is almost going to override it. It's your aggressive scan. And we're going to hit the same machine. The aggressive scan gives us a lot more information. It gives us versioning as well as it gives us OS detection. It takes a little bit longer and is an extremely noisy scan. If you hit a network that has an IDS, it's very possible you're going to set off alerts. If you hit a network that has an IPS, it's very possible you're going to be blocked and you're not going to be able to get any further. Okay, so let's take a look at what the responses are. Okay, so it came back with some new information here. It says 1,000 scanned ports are filtered. That means that we shot through a firewall somewhere. Somewhere between us and them, there's a firewall. Now, we're only one hop away, so I can figure out from there that that firewall is running on that XP box. Of course, I still have their MAC address. And it came back this time, too many fingerprints match the host to give specific details. Okay. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look at if we got anything else inside of here. There you go, we still got the MAC address. We got the trace route that we're just one jump away. Okay, now we're going to try to run this again, but I'm going to take off my other switches. Again, it'll take a little longer to run this type of scan. There we go. Now, by taking off that stealth switch, we were able to get back a lot more information. What I can see here is the ports that they have open, but I can also see the versions. So in this case, SMTP version 6, HTTP 5.1, RPC, of course, XP Microsoft DS. So that's giving us a little bit of information there. Of course, there's still MAC address. And then down here at the bottom is where we get into the OS detection. It is figured out that it's either Windows XP Service Pack 2, Service Pack 3, or Server 2003. They all look similar inside of Nmap. So I can't nail it specifically to one, but it's one of these three. Now, we got lucky that they named their machine Windows XP. That's never going to be the case. And we've also been able to find out that they are running SQL Express 2005 on port 1433. So using this aggressive scan with this OS detection, we can find out if they're part of a work group or a domain. CHAP is running and message signing is disabled. So just by running this aggressive scan, we're able to pull a lot of information. Server message block, we'll talk about that in another video when we do some auxiliary scans for through the SMBs. But we're able to figure out now exactly what OS they have and what versions they have of particular protocols, which we can use to run exploits on. Okay. And we got one more type of scan, and this one's an idle scan. These three scans that we just ran, it is possible that we can be detected. The stealth scan it's tricky to detect. It is not impossible, but it's tricky to detect. But what we're going to do is we're going to run an idle. By running an idle scan, This is the way an idle scan works. If you understand the three-way handshake, when two machines talk to each other or establish a session, one machine sends a packet with the send flag raised, the synchronized flag. Machine 1 sends that to machine number 2. If the port is open on machine number 2, it sends back a send ACK response, a synchronize and acknowledge. Machine number 1 then sends back an acknowledge. That's the three-way handshake, and now there's a session. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to exploit that three-way handshake. We're going to do an idle scan. We need 3 machines to do it. We need, of course, our machine, the attacker machine. We need the target machine, of course, the machine that we want to hit, which is going to be the XP box, and we need a zombie machine. The problem is the zombie machine must be idle. It cannot be transmitting data. It can't be in a session with anybody because we need their packet ID numbers to be incremental. We need them to go up by 1 for the scan to work. So the way it works is this. We send a packet to the zombie machine, but we send them the send ACK packet. Now the zombie machine doesn't expect it, so it sends us back a reset, which is going to let us know its packet ID number. Okay. Now there is going to be a send packet that looks like it comes from the zombie that goes to the target. Now we're actually sending it, but the target doesn't know this. The target thinks the zombie's sending it. So the target will send a send ACK to the zombie. Well, again, the zombie doesn't want this send ACK packet. It's not expecting it, so it sends back a reset, which will increment its packet ID number by 1 again. We then probe the zombie machine to see if their packet numbers have increased. If it's increased by 2, then we know that the target sent the zombie a send ACK packet, which means the port is open. If the port is closed, we still do the same thing. We send a send ACK to the zombie. But the target is going to send a reset to the zombie because the port is closed. Well, the zombie doesn't want a reset. It doesn't have to respond to it. It just throws it away. So its ID doesn't go up. When we probe the ID, we're going to see it's only gone up by 1 because we did that, which means the port's closed. So what we're looking for is really the type of packet that leaves the target. If it's a send ACK packet, that port is open. If it's a reset packet, that port is closed. Now, that can be done in 2 different windows. We can have 2 terminal windows open. We can be sending packets to the zombie machine, and then we can hit the target machine 1 by 1 to see if the packet goes up by 1 or by 2 on the zombie, but that takes forever. So we're going to use Metasploit to do it for us. So I got to set Metasploit up. So I got to start some services here. I got to start my database. Oops, spelled it wrong. There we go. Start Metasploit. And I'm going to start my MSF console. Now, the first thing that we have to do is we have to find an idle machine somewhere in the network. Without an idle machine, we can't possibly pull this off. So, thankfully, there is an auxiliary that can help us do that. It's Auxilary Scanner IP ID SEQ. Now we have a couple of options that we have to put in here, and if you're new to Metasploit, when you're using exploits, you can always type in show options or show advanced to see what you need to set. In this case, we have to set our remote hosts. We don't have a setting for it. We're also going to change the threads to speed it up a little bit. So set our hosts, and we're going to do the entire network, which is 10.44.0, CIDR 24, and we're going to set our threads. We should be able to do it for 50. One's kind of slow. You don't want to go too fast or you'll never find an incremental machine. So somewhere around 50 should work. And we're going to run it. It's going to scan all 255 IP addresses. And it's looking for any machine that responds back with incremental IDs. So it can take a minute or two for this to run. And we actually already got one. We got 3. Number 9 is unknown, which means it was throwing different IDs. Some machines just don't respond because they're quiet or they're offline. Really all we need is one machine to be incremental and we're good, but if you got a couple to choose from, it's even better. And you can set the threads higher. The scan comes back a little quicker. You may not have any machines that it found, and then you just set the threads lower until you do find a machine. There's another one. There's 201. That's my Oracle box. Okay, so we got some. We got 3 and we got 201. So now we can run our Nmap. So Nmap, again, I'll tell it not to send a ping, but the switch we want is SI. That's to put in the zombie address. So the zombie address, again, has got to be one of those incrementals. I'll do 10.44.3. That's going to be the zombie machine. And then the machine that we want to hit is 199, which is my XP box. Now I'm going to do something here just so you can see it. I'm going to run Wireshark, and we're going to start our scan. There we go. Now let me stop the capture so we don't have to look at a bunch of stuff. There we go. We still got back our information. But let's take a look at what Wireshark captured. This is a machine that we hit. This is the 10.44.199. Now let's take a look at our IP source. This is my Kali box. Okay. You can see that no packets from that Kali box ever hit that XP machine. But let's take a look at the zombie. There's all the packets from the zombie machine. So if a network admin is running Wireshark or Nessus or anything on the network and you do a scan, your IP will not show up. The IP address of the zombie machine will show up. So if there's an IDS or an IPS, that machine is the one that's going to be blocked. Now you won't be able to get through because they're going to take down the zombie, which is going to in essence take you down, but if they're just monitoring the network, you can get through. Okay. So that is just one of the auxiliaries. Let me go ahead and exit out of that. So that is a standard Nmap scan, a stealth scan using Nmap, an aggressive scan using Nmap, and an idle scan using Nmap. Now, we'll do one more thing here just before I close this. Let's bring up, I want to bring this up here. Now, and I'm just bringing this up so you can see the CPU usage. Let me go ahead and clear any filters out of here. And I'm going to do a new capture. Okay, now Wireshark does have some CPU usage. You'll see this kind of peg up and down with the data, but I'm going to slide this over here so you can see it. There is also another way to scan. HPing3. It's been around forever, but it's got a really nifty little switch to it. We can do it with Nmap, but HPing3 is quicker. 1044 199, but I'm going to add a switch to it called flood. Now, what you'll see, it will say HPing in flood mode. Look at the CPU usage that just hit Windows. It pegged it out at 100. As soon as I hit enter, the CPU usage went straight up to 100. Now, it wouldn't have hit that fast without Wireshark running. With Wireshark running, it peaked out immediately. It would have taken a lot longer without Wireshark, but Wireshark is capturing these packets. This is why when it HPings in flood mode, it never sends replies back to the box that you did it, or you'd end up flooding yourself. This is nothing more than a denial of service. Now, I haven't had this thing running but, what, 30 seconds? But if I go ahead, now you do have to quit out. I'm going to have to Control C out of it. But I've only had this thing running for, what, 30 seconds or so. I've already sent almost 1.5 million packets to it. It will always come back with 100% packet loss because it told it don't send back replies. Or no replies will be shown, so it just drops all packets. And it would take a little bit. The CPU usage will peg up to 100. It will drop a little bit. It will peg back up to 100 again. It will take a while for this machine to recover. Because it's trying to put all of these packets inside of Wireshark. Again, remember, with just Wireshark running all by itself, with just standard traffic, it was only about 3 or 4%. The second I started flooding it, it went right up to 100. That machine is technically unusable until the CPU usage goes back down. Nobody else would be able to ever send it any information. And it will eventually recover. Or I could force quit out of Wireshark to get it back down to a nominal level. In fact, if I go ahead and end the task, again, sometimes my CPU usage is still at 100. But now I've got the Wireshark itself not responding and the end task not responding. You see my data is going crazy. My CPU usage has actually dropped down, but I can't do anything. Even though my CPU usage has 3%, that's gone up to 38. I can't get out anything. It will take this a little bit to recover. Now, will it? Yes, eventually it will. But I wouldn't stop my HPing 3 after 45 seconds. There we go. So I'm able to shut down. But as you can tell, the machine is still acting a little laggy. There you go. It's starting to get a little better now. And I'm back down to a normal usage again. And there we go. Wireshark finally just blew up. And now the machine is going back to normal again. But if I would keep that HPing 3 going, I could keep that machine down for as long as my HPing is going. Alright guys, so that's a regular Nmap, stealth scan, a no ping, an aggressive, using Metasploit for the idle, and then finishing it up with a denial of service using HPing 3, just for kicks. Alright, so I'll be throwing in some more videos here shortly where we'll get into some more of the auxiliaries, the SMB auxiliaries, the SSH auxiliaries, the SQL auxiliaries, as well as the exploits, the ones that are inside of the Metasploit payload, as well as ones that we'll write ourselves. Again, if there's anything that you want to see, let me know, and I'll be glad to post some information up there for you. All right, you guys have a great night, and see you next time.